Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Aura News broadcast for our daily English news edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, Monday through Saturday, bringing you a translated version of the top news stories of the day. After 3 hours of deliberation, the Commission for Justice Reform has decided to send their final draft to the Venice Commission, together with the opinions of the Democratic Party and the SMI. The disagreements between the parties were never fully settled, especially the claims of the opposition that the majority is trying to take political control over the justice system. The Democrats have asked for some time to compile their remarks on the revised draft. Edouard Halimi said that the party would be ready to submit them to Parliament on Monday. We will present our remarks on this unilateral draft on Monday to the chairman of the Commission and to the Assembly Speaker. They can then be sent to the Venice Commission, said Halimi. On their part, the SMI has already prepared their remarks, and the MP Spartak Braho presented them at the meeting. They had to do primarily with the qualification of members, the mandates of the institution leaders, and the selection of members of the Constitutional Court. Mr. Braho stated, "We do not agree with the qualifications for institution members. We want qualifications and credentials to be the basis of the criteria. We also have a different opinion about the mandates. Our proposal for the selection of Constitutional Court members is based on the German model. We also have another alternative for the organization of the Supreme Court and the prosecution. We see the prosecution as a unified body that has the right to have a special anti-corruption structure. We also support a more active role by the Minister of Justice," Braho said. The right and left-wing parties debated their ideas for about 3 hours. The Democrats stood by their claims that the current draft allows the Prime Minister to control the justice system because he already has the 3/5 qualified majority. They repeated their demand for a 2/3 qualified majority instead. The various points of view were not considered to be hugely different by the chairman of the Commission, who felt that a solution would be found or could be found. He said, "First of all, we all agree that the justice reform is fundamental for the integration process, and above all for the democracy of Albania. It is fundamental to the rule of law and the Albanian citizens. Secondly, we all agree that the project has a solid basis, and we agree on the majority of it. There are just a few differing points of view on specific issues," said Jafai. The parties are in disagreement over the possibility of a public referendum for the justice reform, an idea that was suggested by Edi Rama. Lulzim Basha says that he agrees, but by referendum, the Democratic Party means early elections. He said that if any referendum is held, it should be to allow the citizens to overturn their government. He said, "A referendum is a really excellent idea, but by referendum, we mean early elections. We mean the opportunity for the people to share their opinion of this failed, corrupt, and criminal government," said Basha. He did not gain the support of his party in this statement, as the Democratic MPs Halimi and Buluk-Bashi were openly against it. Buluk-Bashi had this to say, "With the referendum, they want to ignore the consensus. A referendum cannot be called to bypass political consensus." Halimi spoke along similar lines. The idea of a referendum finds more support from the left wing, as several MPs spoke in favor of it. Erion Brace supported the idea of referendum, but only if the consensus is not reached, and Pandeli Maiko made the following statement at the Commission. "We also have the option of referendum, which is in the function of transparency. This will end the scenario of political control over justice." Even the SMI left the possibility open when Ilir Meta made his statements yesterday. He said, "The Venice recommendations are clear to all those who are professionals and to those who are unilateral. For those who want to play, we will give our suggestions to the public so that they can be the judge of who is hampering this reform." The Prosecutor General participated today in the analysis of the Vlora prosecution and focused on the areas for improvement rather than the achievements. He started by expressing the need for more prosecutors and announced that he made a request to the government to increase their numbers a long time ago. He rebuked the police and the judiciary for not being more willing to cooperate with the prosecution when it comes to important investigations. He also spoke with concern about the delay of court hearings and a very high number of suspects being declared innocent. According to him, new checks to regulate the work of the prosecutors are on the way. Prime Minister Rama spoke today at the 24th anniversary of the Socialist Party Youth Forum. He gave his assurance that even though Albania is facing difficulties, the state-building reforms will be realized, despite the negative energies against them. The image of politics has been heavily damaged, he said, and the country is in the middle of challenges, difficulties, and transformation. The negative energies cannot stop our reforms, but they are hampering the process, said Rama. The Prime Minister shared the opinion that the Socialist Party has governed well, but have not done so alone. As part of the celebrations, he gave membership cards to the top 200 students who have joined the party. The new criminal code goes into force today, meaning the penalty of prison time for business owners who are caught breaking the law. Under the new law, business owners who are caught smuggling goods will be given 10 years in jail, and there are shorter sentences for lesser offenses. Business owners who do not issue a sales receipt will be given 1 year in prison and 3 years if they do not have the equipment for keeping appropriate financial record. There are new penalties for the tax directorate employees as well, who will be given 7 years if they are caught abusing their duties. These changes were made in the framework of fighting the informality in the business sector, but the owners are not happy. The Association for the Protection of Traders in the Market is going to submit an appeal to the Constitutional Court. Business owners are also complaining that they are still being fined, even though the law and tax procedure has been suspended. The Albanian ombudsman has repeated his call to the local leaders to provide shelter for the homeless, especially during the winter weather. He reminds the local leaders that it is their responsibility to take precautions for the extremely poor and to prevent situations that might endanger their lives. A statement from the Ombudsman's office reads, "Severe weather conditions and low temperatures are expected in the coming days, especially in the mountainous regions. The Ombudsman considers the preparation of shelters to be urgent for those who cannot provide it for themselves. This is the only way to prevent situations that could endanger their lives or health, especially for children and the elderly. The Ombudsman reminds the mayors that they have a legal obligation to take care of every citizen in their territory, especially the poor and the disabled." The Labor Inspectorate gave a report today on insurance coverage and safety in the workplace. The General Director, Dritan Uli, announced that 100,000 employees were insured during 2015. He indicated that work safety is one of the biggest challenges for the coming year. "The priority of our work this year is safety," he said. "The employees must have a guarantee that their lives are safe." With this goal in mind, he inspected a construction site in Tirana, saying that the construction sector is the most risky in the country. He gave the reminder that it is the obligation of the employees to wear protective equipment provided to them. He calls the workers to refuse to work without proper equipment, which is meant to protect their lives and their livelihood. That's the end of our edition for this evening. Thanks again for watching, and please join us again tomorrow at the same time. Have a great night.